Motherhood. 1 minute, you're mom of the year.
I love you, Mommy.
Then the next, not so much. From bath time to bullying, from potty training to puberty, parenting is full of challenges. But one thing is for certain, you are not alone. Welcome to Modern Mom Probs. I'm your host, author, mother, parenting expert, Tara Clark. Join me while we tackle today's modern mom problems. Jennie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tara. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. You and I, well, one, I've been following you for a very long time. And two, you and I met at an event in the city. It was Neha's event, wasn't it?
Yes.
About her new book, The Power Pause, which I plug every chance that I have the opportunity to, because it's such an incredible book, and Neha is such an incredible person. And when you and I met, we were like, oh, we should chat. And actually, after that event, I was on Daniela's podcast because she's amazing too, and just so many podcasters, so many wonderful conversations. So you have a podcast called We Didn't Turn Out Okay.
Yes.
Where did that title come from? What prompted you to start that?
It's actually really kind of interesting because I've always prefaced when I've said what the podcast is called, I've always said, or actually not prefaced, but said immediately after, but not in a negative way. It's called We Didn't Turn Out Okay, but not negative. And I've stopped doing that and just have trusted that I hope people will get the gist if they listen and whatnot. But it really isn't negative. It's meant to say that when we just think and believe we're okay, I believe that we miss opportunities to really grow and become more self-aware and really to be our best selves and to explore all the areas that, big or small, that maybe it's like, I could be a little bit more okay there, or maybe I should acknowledge that maybe that wasn't so okay. And so that's what it comes from. It's a parenting podcast. So I have parents on and we explore all the things. And then I weave in or try to dig in a little bit to see if people are open to talking about, is there something in your life where you feel you're not okay there? And do you feel like it will help if we explore that? So yeah, it's been really amazing to...
You've had great guests on as well.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time coming. I just launched it in January. And so I felt like I flew with it. It was all the people that I've ever wanted to sit down with. I've reached out to, or people like Daniela, or all the people that are in the community that you referred to with Neha. It's magical. All these moms that are willing to explore and dig and talk, to have them all on. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I think that's probably one of my favorite parts about podcasting is having the access to chat with such incredible, inspiring people. That is my favorite thing. People say, what do you like most about your work? It's these conversations. It's being able to tap into the brains and the insight of such phenomenal people that many times you may admire from afar, or them on Instagram or something like that, or you saw them on YouTube. And then when you sit down with them for 45 minutes and chat, you're like, holy cow, here I am really scratching the surface with these incredible people. And so that's my favorite. And then also too, we realize that we're not so different, right? That parenting is obviously comes with its own unique set of challenges, but many of those challenges or overlap, right? Some things that I may be going through, you're going through, or maybe I didn't, and I'm still going to sit and listen while you share your experience.
Absolutely. And I think what you're getting at is that it connects us. We might not have all gone through it, but sure enough, even if we didn't, we have something that we can talk through it, whether it's I had a friend who experienced that, or I almost experienced that, but this is what I did, or this is how I overcame it. You just connect through it. And that's what I've loved about it too. And you're so right. It's you have a guest on and sometimes you think it will go a certain way, or you had them on for a certain reason, or just like you said, you've been inspired by them from afar. And so you're just genuinely excited. And then you come out of it and you're like, it's always been even more meaningful than what I go in thinking it will be. And that's been the best part.
Yeah, that definitely is. And I feel like it just expands like your own network, not only of colleagues, but of friends.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And people that, and I'm sure you've had this, that you are friends with and know well, and then you have them on, or even like I had my husband on, or a very close friend, and you even learn about people that you feel like you couldn't learn more about. So yeah, there's something about sitting down and just talking for talking's sake, right? Not with like, oh, we're dropping off our kids or we're at dinner with other people, just really focusing on just the conversation that is really amazing. And people like us love so much. Clearly we're talkers if we're doing what we do, right?
Yeah, it's true. Right. No, I'm a pretty good listener. I do have to say that, though. That is one thing. Usually I let my guests just run with stuff depending on the topic. But I was going to ask, about listening?
Yes, I am really working on that. So I just wanted to really caveat that initially when I launched. I do have so much to say and I ask a lot of questions and all that, but then it's something that I've reflected on with this world, just people pointing it out and also me listening back. So yes, I'm glad to be inspired by you if you are a good listener. So yes, bear with me. I'm on my journey.
Everyone's on their own journey. I think being a good listener is partly why I started the podcast in the first place, because I care so genuinely about what my guests have to say. I'm so curious about what they're going to say that, yes, of course, I could add my 2 cents. And I do add my 2 cents, obviously. But I really want to hear it from them. I'm not going to try to put words in their mouth or try to force them into a question or feed them into something. I want to hear, tell me about your experience, or tell me about your book, or tell me about the project that you're working on. I genuinely want to hear it.
Yes. And on that note, I think I share that, but I also feel a little bit torn between, the platform being also that, I built my social media brand around guiding people. So it's noise, really, is what I'll summarize it with. Will people want me to put in my view on this or give this person advice? And so, yeah, it's noise I'm working through.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. But you're right, though. You are, how would I describe it? You're very good with your content in sharing best practices, saying let me share this story. This is what has worked for us. Is that how you would describe it? And I'm talking specifically about your Instagram account.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That honestly, initially it was meant to just be that, but then I realized how much more impactful it is, especially with all the accounts and information out there, which are just wonderful to be able to have access to all these resources. But I realize it's really hard to put into practice when you hear something, even if it resonates. And I think, I guess I'm a storyteller because I believe I remember things and it means more to me when it's part of a story. And so, yes, it's switched into being very personal because it's I believe in this. I've worked in my career using some of these tools. And now that I'm a mom, this is how it's worked for us, rather than just kind of talking at it and being this is what we should do. Right.
Yeah. I think that is usually received better also, is incorporating it into a story versus just being here is all this content. Say this is how it worked for my daughter, and then walk them through that story, which I feel like you do very often.
Yes. But that being said, it's one of the reasons that it's come to a podcast, because while I love storytelling and I've felt I've connected with so many people around sharing all of that, and I've really felt that my platform has been these are my friends and stories I would share at drop off, or if someone came to me that I'm close with for advice. But my kids are now 5 and 7, and I believe it or not, the underlying ethos of all my guidance is respecting kids. And I felt more and more torn about sharing them, and realized we can story tell with each other. And that's why it's a podcast. And I'm, again, on that journey with like how that will transition. But the goal is to focus less on my kids out of respect and more about past things I've shared, my own childhood I remember, or other people's stories, with, of course, being respectful to them and in conversations. So yes, absolutely. It's been sharing them, but we'll see what it turns into.
No, you're right. That's a very real consideration. Just a few weeks ago, I spoke at Mom 2.0 about navigating content creation as our children age, because that's something that's very top of mind for me. I have a 12-year-old son, and not just for me, but for the industry in general, I care very much about children being respected in content creation. And I mean, that is a whole topic to unpack all by itself. And it's challenging because you don't want to shame creators that choose to do that in their family. And so everyone's allowed to do what they want to do as long as they do it respectfully, I think is the best way to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I see other content creators sharing and comments of like, why are you sharing this? You know, I actually do have empathy for those content creators because I don't believe that they're trying to put respect on the back burner for their kids. I think they're torn, or they believe in like the greater power of, or belief that, you know, my child will be, you know, assumptions and narratives and things like that. But I do think it's a real thing that just not even my girls have voiced discomfort, but really I started to be more uncomfortable with it as they got older, which is interesting because I'm all about respect for babies from day one, especially infants and toddlers. That was where my expertise and experience really is. But then there was just, I believe I'll be grateful for it. There was just this growing discomfort as they got older. But I don't believe babies and infants should be respected less. It's just been my own journey with feeling more uncomfortable as they got older. I don't know why, but I'm glad I'm getting there because I believe it's for a reason that I'll be grateful
Yeah.
for.
You definitely will be, especially having daughters. Not that I'm saying not having sons too, but especially having daughters and raising them in a way where people can recognize them. I'll give you a quick example. My friend Dina Lang, she and I together spoke at Mom 2.0 about navigating the content creation. Dina was on the radio in Miami for 20 years. So people knew her. This is pre-content creation on Instagram. And she was at her son's gymnastics class when he was about 3 or 4 years old. And an older woman ran up to her son and was screaming his name and saying, "Oh, come, give me a hug, give me a hug." And he was scared. He's like, I don't know you. And even my friend was like, do we know you? Like, I don't know you. She's like, no, I know you. I know him. I know him through your stories on the radio. And she's like, no, like this is not okay. And this, like I said, predates really social media and sharing the stories like this. Because at this point, she was not a content creator. Like I said, she was a DJ. But it was such a profound story that people have these parasocial relationships with your children in a way that we can't necessarily control unless we control what we share about our families. Absolutely. That's the only way that we're able to do that. And Dina shared that story when we presented at Mom 2, and it resonated with a lot of people because, you know, we're talking about storytelling and stuff like that. I could tell you all day, oh, don't put your kids out there, whatever. But you hear a story about a friend of mine with her very scared, very real son and a very real woman who was trying to hug him at a gymnastics class because she thought she knew him. Like, that's a very real story. And I'm sure that there are things across the board that happen to content creators.
And what's powerful about that story actually is, you know, that we more and more are seeing kids' faces covered, but his face wasn't even, I believe it wasn't, right? If she was on the radio, wasn't even shown.
She was No, I think that maybe occasionally she would show him on her personal Instagram, but it was sort of tied to radio, but she wasn't
Yeah.
like a full-time content creator like she is now, but he was like, occasionally on her posts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That someone felt they knew him from hearing, on the radio and then seeing him or connecting that that's his mom. And so, it just kind of hones in on just how real that sort of what did you say?
Parasocial relationships. Yeah.
Yes. And even when people bump into us, it's never felt creepy at all. Like, actually, I feel lucky. I know that doesn't mean that it can't feel that way very quickly and maybe behind the scenes where but anyway, it's been like really positive. And then looking to my girls and saying something like, to me, like, I do feel like I know them, but in this like warm way. That being said, thinking about it from my girl's perspective, when there's a lot of that, it can feel like, so wait, all these people feel like they know me, but I've never met them. Right. So that's a real thing. It's always positive. Like, thank you so much for this video of you bragging about your girls to their stuffies. Like, I used it this morning and my girl's smiling and being like, oh, she saw the one of you talking to Avocado and, whatever it is, my Hello Kitty to all. But that being said, I don't want them to also feel like those like loving moments, even though it was mostly just me on screen, are just automatically always exposed. And I do a really good job of telling them, if anything, it's like, especially now that they're older, being like, I think this would be nice to share. I'm going to record me sharing it. And they are excited about it. But I just don't think more and more, I feel like there's other ways.
Yeah, there are definitely other ways to do it where you're not exposing them all the time.
Exactly.
But that's a conversation for a whole nother day.
Yeah, it's like big, heavy, and a real thing in today's world. I'm definitely in that world. So like I said, I'm figuring that out, but aware of the need to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Has that happened yet where you've met people in real life that have either recognized you and or the girls?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know why it feels like a lot for the size of, my following, besides the fact that I think it's like very concentrated. And so when we're out and about in New York City and at the airports around New York City, it feels like it's a lot. And because I do feel like my followers feel like they've been had babies right alongside me, at the same time. And so it feels very close also. And I've always been very like open, so they feel comfortable. But yes, it does happen. But like I said, it's always felt really positive when it does. It's more about when I've like started to reflect afterwards. And as my girls are more coming into little women and not babies, toddlers, and, so early childhood anymore. It just feels like these are real moments that could be sort of defining in a way that I don't think is necessary.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. You were an educator before any or all of this. Like, tell us a little bit about your background and how that informed your content creation.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it really, yes, I've been an infant, toddler teacher and director of several early childhood programs, daycares, preschools, and then, child development centers, call it what you will. They have different kind of like nuances about the differences between them. But I really have felt like I've built my career alongside spending time with babies, infants, and toddlers. And I say that because I've learned so much from that real hands-on experience of being with them and also being in my own classroom, at Teachers College at Columbia. So it's felt really amazing. Like I've gotten like real field work experience. And then it's led to Union Square Play. So I continue to get that like real field work experience all the time. And it's interesting how it's evolved in how I connect with kids. So initially, it really was connecting not through language, just more out of necessity. My first positions working with kids were at place in Chinatown where no one's first language was English, and my role was to teach them English. And I didn't know their native languages. And so we connected through play and real, just nonverbal language, of course, while exposing them to English until they picked up on it. And seeing the power of that. And then, sure enough, once I reached, more administrative roles, realizing that I really want to connect with kids and their parents and focus on that. So, when you become an administrator, there's a lot of other noise that can get in the way. And so before I became a mom, I realized that really what I want to do is just continue to connect with kids and parents. And I was like, I think that I can do that through social media and then moms groups. And so that's how my initial social media platform started. I'm smiling because it used to be called Mo Mommies. My last name's Monness, and so people call me Jennie Mo, and so it was Mo Mommies. It was just going to be about, how to spend time with babies and with each other as moms. And then I became a mom and realized just how tough it was. I really didn't have the understanding, even working with moms for so long and parents, how hard it was. I knew it was hard. I knew I was grateful at the end of each day that these kids weren't going home with me and that I really needed that time after spending all day with them. But whoa, I did not know. And so anyway, that's how it all started. I started sharing alongside my own motherhood journey and just, all of the expertise that I've learned from being with kids and also, of course, educationally too, and weaving that into sharing how I parent my girls.
I love that. I love that so much. When my son was born, we were living in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and it was very lonely. I didn't think that it was going to be as lonely as it was. And this, just to give you an idea, was 12 years ago, right? So the internet definitely was not what it was. I should say social media was not what it was, right? Like there were Facebook groups, which actually the Upper East Side Moms Facebook group is really what prompted me to even start Modern Mom Problems in the first place. Because that was their own series of modern mom problems, first world problems. And I remember trying to go to like every music class or dance class or all the baby classes that you go to try to meet moms and also obviously to socialize my son, but for me to also get out of the house and meet people. And would you believe it? At least where we lived, there were not a lot of moms that were going to these classes. They were all nannies, and the dynamic is different. And it was hard for me to meet people to hang out with. And of course, you're hanging out with the nannies in the class, but it would sort of end there. And then maybe like all of the nannies would like go off to lunch together. Right. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess we'll go home now. And then that was it.
So true. Yeah. And that was really why, in addition to social media, I initially was like, oh, I'll just like have social media and like work from home and like have this career. But it was really why Union Square Play was formed. And of course, I met amazing business partners who also had the same idea. But I realized that too. I'm like, why are we all doing this separately? Like, why isn't there one place? I feel like when you have a kid, you have that same feeling when you go to college. You just want to meet people. You want to socialize. Of course, you don't want to get all done up and all the things that come along with it, but you just want a safe place to connect and meet and make friends. I mean, that's like a magical thing that we often don't have an ability to really like capitalize on unless we know where to go or how to bring people together. So even before Union Square Play, it was really like one of my friends being like, having the feeling you had. And she's like, we're all just doing this separately. Like, you know stuff about kids. Can you just bring us together? And I did. And like, those are still like, honestly, we always talk about, we're like, how are we all still friends? Like, it's really amazing. 7 years later, like we're all still there's something about those early mom groups or connections that has motivated me to stay the course with this, and really like why I believe so much in it.
Yeah, because it's really needed. And there's always going to be new mothers coming up. There's always going to be new families that need connection, right? And so that was partly why I started my Instagram account. When people ask like, oh, what was the impetus for it? I often say, you know, I was living in New York City, a huge city, 8 million people. I was really lonely staying at home with my son. I had left working at Nickelodeon to stay home with him full time. And I wanted to meet people. And now, granted, he was 3 when I started the account, but still at that point, I was still looking to meet people, even 3 years into my motherhood journey. And then I, you know, met people from all over the country, all over the world, talking about all different kinds of parenting stuff. But when it came to the day-to-day in-person meetups, Central Park was like, that was just my jam. Every day. We were probably walking 10 to 20,000 steps. I say he was in the stroller. I was probably walking 10 to 20,000 steps a day, every day, no fail. Unless it was raining, but that's a different story.
Yes, rain. Oh my God. Yes, it's so true that like, even at 3, right? Like he maybe was starting to go to separation programs, or, you know, you were starting to look into that also maybe contributed to maybe why this was the time for you. I just think that there's all these like sort of like more, I wouldn't even say milestones, but just like stages of motherhood where you need the connection even more. But it's like you need it every day for one reason or another, right? Yeah. But it just sounded interesting that you said that it started when he was 3, because that's like, I feel like a real stage in our own like sort of becoming.
It was. And the way I often tell the story is that there was a shiny new website called Canva that came out. And so just to give you an idea of time frame, this was February of 2016. So we're talking 2016. So it was a long time ago. So like Instagram was just on the uptick. Canva just came out. And so it was sort of a perfect storm of, hey, let me try all of these things together and make something out of it. And I had told my friends and family, I'm going to make an Instagram account about parenting. And at some point I'm going to monetize it. And they were like, you're going to do what? What? I'm like, no, it's going to be a thing. Like, trust me, it's going to be a thing. They're like, yeah, okay, good luck with that. And then that's just what happened.
Is.
And then it happened. Yeah. But early 2016 was, you know, on the early side of all of that. But I was trying to, you know, make jokes. And obviously the Upper East Side Moms Facebook group gave me lots of material to work with, and having a toddler gives you so much material, you know, funny and serious and insightful and all of the things. There's just like constant nonstop content when you have toddlers.
It's so true. And I think I'm smiling because when I look back to even like, I don't know, something reminds you or pops up and you look back to like however many years ago, I look back on even my content then, or like a picture that comes up, I'm like, this is so funny, you know, even if when it wasn't meant to be, you know, in like a, just kids are just in the best way. I don't mean at them funny, but like just, or like what happens to us in those moments. Like it's hard to believe, right? Like the chaos and you look back and it's funny, even if at the time it felt like in the trenches. Funny again, like, I mean, like it's just sort of,
it was gallows humor, sort of. Yeah, like we're trying to laugh through the struggle there. And that's definitely what it was like in the beginning. I'm very pleased to say that I am past that now. We're in a totally different stage of not only childhood, but motherhood and life. So it definitely, there's a progression.
Well, I know that I'm your guest, but just on that point, I just am interested. Do you feel like when you said it's different, do you feel like it's like bigger kids, bigger problems?
I don't yet, because we haven't really had any kind of, knock on wood, any issues like that. I know people do say bigger kids, bigger problems, but we have laid a groundwork with my son so much that he's very open to talk to us about anything, what's going through his mind, what's going on in his life. And so he knows and he trusts that he could come to us with anything. And so that groundwork was laid early, 5, 6, 7 years old, and then all the way through. So I don't feel like that yet. I mean, things can tend to be, I don't know, not to make it sound dramatic, but more life or death if your kids are, I don't know, walking to the mall by themselves or, going somewhere alone.
Right.
That may be more serious, but also, I don't know, having a 3-year-old run off into the middle of the street is also a big deal too, or having a 3-year-old run in a parking lot, that's life or death also.
Totally.
I think for us personally, I think that the toddler years were infinitely harder because he was like a ticking time bomb at that point. That was a really challenging time for us. For all emotional regulation involved. Now our emotional regulation is much better across the board. So I don't know. I can't say that like unequivocally, like, yes, bigger kids, bigger problems. I mean, maybe ask me again when he's a teenager and I'll say, yes, I'm worried because he's driving or I'm worried about who he's hanging out with. But like I said, at this point, we've laid a really good foundation as a family to like work through any of those issues.
That's really, and I honestly wanted to point out when you've like mentioned the foundation, because I don't necessarily think when people say it actually feels like, yes, more serious, but I think it's more that they mean it feels more impossible because maybe I don't even say that they lack the foundation. I don't think that's it either, but it's hard to connect, if you haven't, or it's sort of like harder to crack the code,
Yes.
So the fact that you've brought up this foundation means that that's really probably the reason that you don't feel it's harder. And you're saying, yeah, but I honestly believe that it might not feel as hard as when people say that, because he knows that, or that he's not going to be sort of this code to crack because he feels safe to do it with you. Right?
That's very much what I think that it is. If we had a different parenting style or a different parenting situation where we weren't building to this, right? And now all of a sudden he's 12 and he's mouthing off or doing poorly in school or having regulation issues or something like that. And here I am now trying to play catch up or to try to, like you said, to crack the code. I think, that would definitely be harder and that would definitely be more challenging. But because we've been growing together, talking through these things for years, getting to this point, that's a different story, and so we sort of put ourselves in a different situation. And that would definitely be my recommendation for parents of younger children, is to have the open conversations, treat your children with respect. All of those things are the building blocks to get to a point where also then forget about middle school years, forget about teen years, think about adulthood. You want your kids to be friendly with you when they're adults and when you're older, right? And all of that foundation tends to be laid now to that point, and it's all building blocks.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm like realizing more and more. It's a feeling that what I always believed in. Like, I think often, people joke or make fun of like sort of this like wave of what people say is gentle parenting. I like to say it's respectful parenting, but the whole like kid throwing and hitting and the parent being like, I wonder what you're feeling now. There's always like the comical, like extreme, exaggerated spin to it. But it's really, I think what I feel is so important about it is also building this like emotional intelligence. Again, I don't want it to feel eye-rolly when I even say that, because it sounds a little bit eye-rolly, but it's sort of like, you don't have to crack a code later, right? When you have a kid who all along you've given the respect to kind of name feelings, validate. They're not at a place later at 12 where they're, like you said, sort of acting out and they have no idea why. They just have feelings in their body that they can't manage or figure out. and narratives when a kid is leaving them out or whatever, and they just cannot explain it. That's a real thing. That's like bigger kid, bigger problem thing. And so, yes, I just want to reiterate that I also believe in like trying to build that foundation early, even if it feels like you're talking to an infant who doesn't understand validation. They do eventually. There's not one day that they're like, okay, I understand now. It's like something you have to kind of get into the habit of doing, right? Treating them like that as a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000% yes. Do you follow Erin Morrison? Do you know Erin Morrison?
Love.
It's the Conscious Mom. Love Erin. She's amazing. Love Erin. So yeah, she and I speak about this kind of stuff all the time. And the thing about conscious parenting is that you're tapping into your self more in order to be a better parent. And this is several years ago, is when that really opened my eyes. Like, how can I tap into myself in order to parent better and not listen to this parenting book or that parenting style or any of those other types of things? And it's like, I'm respecting myself, I'm respecting my child, and we're growing together. And that's how we were able to build this foundation.
Oh my God. Yes, so much yes. But that is not something I knew from the start, right? I believed in all that.
No, yeah, me neither.
But no, it's why I got to the point of naming my podcast We Didn't Turn Out Okay, because of how much I believe in, like, we have to tap into ourselves. But that happened by becoming a mom for me. And yeah, like we can get into all of this, but like I grew up with a mom who I felt like was this like martyr to herself, but not in a negative way. Of course, I have to caveat that, but just this mom that I find myself now being like, we never fought. Like, you never yelled at me. Like, you were always there. You always did. And feeling like I had to be that mom and do all the things, right? That's not conscious parenting, right? That's not like putting myself, that's like me trying to live up to something and do the respectful parenting thing. But like there was a disconnect, right? And I had to figure that out. And so absolutely, yes. I love Erin. I love how much she honors us honoring ourselves, because there's no way to really do the work without putting ourselves in the equation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't parent without thinking about yourself and your feelings and all of that. It's just simply impossible. Or then you are destined to live through those generational cycles that we often talk about breaking, right? And so putting yourself in there is how you're breaking those cycles. Yes. But Erin is amazing. Huge fan of hers. Yeah, I love that. I feel like we should all hang out together one day.
Oh my God, yes. And she was supposed to be here in May, and so she's trying to get here, but we absolutely need to.
Yes, I was actually going to say that. She is supposed to be here in May. Now we went on a total tangent, and we're also like sharing her like personal plans.
Just get her book, 3 Minutes for Mom.
Yeah, buy 3 Minutes for Mom. It's incredible. She's on the show too. I don't remember what day, but I'll give a shout out for that podcast episode. Because Erin is just super incredible. And like you said, I think when you used the word honor, that she honors that is so well said, because that was the best way that I would describe that. 1,000%. I'm going to ask you, Jennie, a question that I ask all of my guests, and I'm super curious to see what you're going to say. What do you think is the biggest modern mom problem out there today?
Wow. So I have to think for a second, because I would say the biggest modern mom problem is not, hold on, I want to see how to phrase this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it is modern. And it's sort of like piggybacking off of what we just said. The modern mom problem is looking outside all the books, the podcasts, things that we of course like contribute to, and social media, and not looking within. I truly think that that's like the biggest one. It's probably not funny or humorous, but I just think that, there's these moms who, and myself was one included, who like do all the right things, but it's a modern problem to look outside and consume, to do the right things. And I'm hoping the new modern, as we're seeing a little bit more and more, is to look within, with things like that we just talked about. But I would say the biggest one is consuming to be the mom we want to be.
That's so beautifully said. 9 times out of 10, people say social media comparison, and they're right. And the way that you described it, I would say falls underneath that bucket, but you described it so beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. No, that's incredible. No, it really is. I love the way that you said that. I want to go back and listen to it because you're right. It's the overconsumption that's forcing us to not be the moms that we were meant to be.
Right. And just also this day and age, there's such a consumerism issue, right? Buying all the things and reading all the things. And yes, I started motherhood really leaning into the buy them nothing, less is more. And then there was even times where I'm wait, but now they're 5 and we're at American Girl doll, when I'm having them play with toilet paper rolls and priding myself on use the kitchen right? It's part of modern day. And I think that goes with not just material things, but like we said, content and noise and advice and all of that. And there's honestly, Tara, I feel you'll agree with this. We really, not to be woo-woo, we have it inside us. We really do. But there's too much distraction. And that's a very much modern thing that I hope we can, sort of be part of the narrative to change.
Well, we're trying to do our part. That's all we could do right now, right? Yeah. We're trying to do our part for that.
Absolutely right. We can't heal the world, but yes, totally. And one of the things that you said before, I just wanted to ask you about, because you were saying that you built this foundation, and I know you just asked me a question, but you have a kid a little bit older than me. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about emotional intelligence, but how would you say that, how did you build the foundation? I know that's a big question, but you had something in mind when you were saying it, right? You were thinking of something, and I just love to hear what that is.
You want to bring this full circle? It goes back to my listening, whether it's I'm listening to my podcast guests or listening to my son as he's talking. I respect what people have to say. I'm genuinely curious about their thoughts. And I think that's how we lay the foundation for friendship and for mutual respect, right? So I respect him when he has an opinion on something. He respects me. And we just build that foundation together like you would build any type of relationship.
Oh, I love that. And that you talked about listening, right? So much we want to get a point across, even with our kids. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big thing. I don't think I've ever said because I told you so, or because I'm the mom, or any of those types of things. That's just not in my vocabulary personally. So if I'm saying something, I may explain the reasoning behind it, the rationale, give him facts about why we're doing X, Y, and Z. And I think that he respects the time that I'm taking to explain something to him, as opposed to just saying that's just because that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
End of story,
Yeah. And just including him, right? I think that's really powerful. I love that you said that you've never said some of those things that we might have grown up hearing or that people do say. And I don't either, but I have heard my girls recently, my younger in particular, when I'm trying to make a point, be stop talking. Meaning she's basically you made your point. And I think it's similar to this, I'm working on listening thing, but I more meant it when I said it in conversations like this, but I should do it more with my kids too. Right. I think, and as you know, I created this product called the Springboard, and it was all under this idea of when we include our kids in their own life, how much more that unlocks. So it's a visual routine board, and the idea, of course, is to feel like we have sort of a routine in our family, but it's really meant to be connect with your kid, include them, show them what they can anticipate, and let them make age appropriate decisions about their day. You know, you don't always have to say no. Anyway, it's this whole like symbol that is really helpful in this product, but you know, you have to weave that in. It's not just talk the talk, like you have to walk the walk. And so, yes, I love that. Like really listening is just.
Yeah, it's a big family value for us. And incorporating them, like you said, of course, with the springboard too, like incorporating them to why we're going, where we're going, not just saying like, okay, we're going in the car, let's go. You know, like saying like, this is what we're doing today. This is the plan for the day. I'm a big fan of explaining the plans. When I drop my son off at school every day, I say, okay, you have school and then you have club after school and I'm picking you up at 4:00. After that, then we're going to do X, Y, and Z. So every day he knows when he's getting out of the car for drop off, he knows what to anticipate going ahead. And he has a springboard. He loves it. And it's in his bedroom. He knows what he has to do, when he has to do it. And it, like you said, it's a visual reminder of not only his week, but also like what to look forward to, what to keep track of, all of those things. And children need that autonomy so that they're not just being like spoken at all day. You want to be spoken with, right? And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And on that point, like, because when you do that, it's sort of like talking at or like not including, then you have like the 12-year-old who's like, no, I'm part of this conversation and relationship, right? And so, yes, like you said, it's a reminder for all the things you said, but I also think it's a reminder for like, I have a Google Calendar and this is my child's own version of that. Like we all need to kind of have these tools to know what our day looks like, that we matter in planning that day, that we deserve the respect to know. And so, yes, I love that. And yes, it will help me work on listening too. It will be my symbol like of listening and not just being like, here's the board. This is what, you know what I mean? Just, it'll be symbol to listen. Yeah.
Definitely. He loved it. He sat on the floor. He was so excited to be able to have a tangible thing to put together. And he like organized it, put all the days of the week. And it's helpful for him to remember all of the days of the week in the correct order and organized all of the different things. And I'm just so grateful for that. And because like I said, it's in his room. He looks at it every morning. He knows what to expect, which day. And it's important. It's important for kids to have their own control as much as they can. Of course, they're children, right? Like they're, they're just being schlepped from one thing to the next all day, all week. But like, it's nice to include them and so that they feel that they have a little bit of control in their lives.
Yes, absolutely. And since he is 12, like, just want to say that, he's a little bit older. He probably, is, I don't know, you tell me, at the age where he's like packing his own backpack or like, okay, I don't know.
No, I do that. Maybe he should be, but he's not.
No, it's not. I picture my girl at that age being like, no, I'm doing it, and then forgetting all the things. But just wanted to point out that like you can like customize some of it now. So if like you wanted to even like have reminders specific to him, it's a fun thing. People send us like their families, like photos and things to put on the tiles. And if he does get there and you want him to start packing his backpack, you can incorporate like, and now pack this or whatever it is, reminders of that. So anyway, I love that he enjoys it and that it's working for you guys. Positive.
Yeah, I love that. I think that anything that could help their executive functioning, they meeting children, anything that could help children's executive functioning, I think is primo. Yes. So I love that.
Yes.
So Jennie, tell us, where can we find you online? Where can we listen to your pod? Tell us all the things.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Jennie Monness. 2 double N's in there, JennieMonness. And then my podcast is We Didn't Turn Out Okay. You can find it anywhere that you listen to podcasts. I did not create a separate Instagram account. I cannot manage that.
Same.
And then
I'm with you on that one.
And then you can find CharmSpring in the visual routine board at charmspring.com or our Instagram. And you can also visit us at Union Square Play. If you're a new mom, young kids, come if you're in the city, living in the city, or visiting the city. We'd love to have you.
I love all the things, Jennie. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've been a huge fan for so long. It was really nice to get to just talk.
And if Erin comes into the city, then we're going to have to hang out.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Modern Mom Probs. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive in today's problem with me, your host, Tara Clark. Join me next time when I'll be interviewing another great guest and tackling another modern mom problem. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and a rating. As always, you could head over to Modern Mom Probs on Instagram and give me a follow, or check out my book, Modern Mom Probs, A Survival Guide for 21st Century Mothers, available online wherever books are sold. Well, that's it for today. See you next time, folks.